Hey guys!
Hello!
So as we mentioned last week, the next thing we had to do is start modifying this jack to sit on the little ledge that we made last week and the week before. So this will sit flush against the front, like so. We want that to be right there so that when we tighten down the copper faceplate, it gets tightened right up against that metal and this. So maybe even recessed a tiny bit would be good. So the first thing we got to do is figure out where the mounting holes in this metal go to be lined up over that. Now it looks like we're going to need a couple washers or something just to lift it up into the exact right position, but we're really close already. Alright, let's pull things apart and figure out where our mounting goes. I'm lining up the front so that it's recessed by like 1/2 millimeter or so. And then I can go in and sort of mark exactly where this goes with the tape. Yep, looks good. Looks like it's going to be right where it curves in. So we've got this stuff we did here. Looks like it's right in that line.
It's handy.
So go in here. Need a mounting hole about there, and then one straight across from it. Alright, let's get set up to do some drilling. We are going to have problems with the clearance on the back, so this will all come apart again yet.
Okay.
Alright, let's see if she fits.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Alright, put that case down. Alright. Thing of beauty. Bring the camera down in here.
Perfect.
Now let's see how it clears. Pretty darn close. Just maybe even able to adjust that just in the screws themselves. That's really close. I mean, it's within 1/4 of a millimeter.
Nice.
Good enough for getting our test fit in place though.
Yep. Alright, so we've put in the, just temporarily placed in the tube amplifier here, that portion, just to see whether or not we have enough clearance.
It's close.
Super close.
Not as close as I thought it would be. It does clear it.
Yep. So do you think we still need to adjust anything?
It's still on the table. We did check how far the jack goes in,
Yeah.
and it barely goes in at all. So if we're uncomfortable with this, we can just drill a couple of holes closer and shorten these up. And then somebody was saying bend these up or down.
Yep.
Probably down. I don't know. So it's clear enough that we can get the amp in and out still. So for the moment, I think we'll call it okay. We won't worry about doing that today. So the other thing I wanted to check was my idea of using a shielded patch cable, a TRS cable. This kind of a thing. To go between where the potentiometer was on the Leslie to another jack up here by putting a jack in here, putting a jack in there. And that shields the connection between the 2 points, and it allows us to bring ground up to that front piece of copper as well. If we look at the circuit here, we've got the signal coming in on 6, and that goes to one side of the potentiometer. The wiper goes to the grid on the 12AU7 or 12AU7, and the other side is tied down to ground. So if we tie to that side to our shield on the cable, then we can actually connect the ground of this input part of the circuit of the Leslie to that whole copper plate on the front through our shield. So it shields the line that brings the signal to the Leslie volume, keeping that nice and quiet, and it gives us a nice ground plate here that connects the grounds to the potentiometers for the other 2 parts.
Okay.
Which is kind of cool.
Yep.
So I think the next thing to do is check and see if this jack will actually fit. Yeah, fits pretty nicely actually. So we'll be able to replace this potentiometer here with a jack.
Cool.
And that's got the 3. It's got the tip, the ring, and the shield. And the potentiometer, of course, has 3. So, yeah, should work out really well. I'm not sure how we're going to do the jack on the front part yet, but at least we know we can do this one. So I guess we'll open that up and kind of replace things.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the case is grounded to this lug right here. And there's a few lines going, but one of them goes shoop right up to this side of the potentiometer. So we know that that side is the ground side from the circuit diagram that we looked at earlier. That's the signal coming in, and that wiper goes to that preamp tube. So that's pretty simple. That means we're going to have to bring the signal in on, let's say, tip, the wiper out on the ring, and then the shield goes to that ground connection. And the ground is also tied into the 2 cables here. So our Amphenol connector is tied to ground as well. So our signal comes from one of these pins, our ground is connected to one of these pins. And that's nice because that's where the signal and ground will be coming in from the preamplifier and the filter. That happens before this stage of things. Yeah, okay. So I pretty much know what I need to do. I'm gonna have to be very careful in making sure I get everything reattached to the right places, because ground is also hooked to a couple of things here. One of the pins on the tube is grounded by that little jumper, so we're going to want to keep that jumper, and to this. So we got 3 lines to the ground, 1 off the wiper and 1 off the other side of the potentiometer. We don't want to confuse those. That would be bad. We'd get the other side of the wave if we did that. So I'm going to turn on my iron, and this is very old solder, so we're going to add new to it before we even bother trying to remove anything out of here. Wonder if it would be possible to push that down. I don't think it is. Yeah, we're going to need a jumper to go to that pin of the tube as well.
Hardcore wire somewhere.
Alright. So we got okay. Taking notes from myself here. And to the bottom one, it's just green. I added 2 stripes to one of the green wires so I know which one is which. And I wrote down everything. So we should be good. And I want to specify what goes where, so that's going to shield. That is going to ring. And that is going to tip. Okay. Time to add some solder.
Okay.
Pull these tubes out. Be able to flip this so I can see what I'm doing.
That's overrated, Whisker. It's overrated.
Overbuilt, maybe. Okay, there's that one. Get out of the way there. Wondering if that one's going straight through, if they just stripped it out and went all the way to that next pin. They may have. The green line
Yeah.
might go through the lug and continue on to that pin of the tube,
Oh.
which will be an extra step to get it to desolder.
Okay.
Let me just clip it. So I clipped the wire right where it comes up into this terminal. Now I'm gonna see if I can pull what's left of it through here. This is stubborn. Yeah, it was right, it was one piece. It needs to be cleaned. And the ground one is here. And I think we're all clear except for the wiper. Okay.
Tumor out, doctor.
Yes. Those 3 go to the shield. This one goes to the tip, and that goes to the sleeve. So we're going to have to jumper from the sleeve of our jack to that thing, because the way it's going to sit in there, it's not going to be very happy with distance. This thing sits back farther away. Jack down here into place. Seems to clear everything okay. If I put the washer, the nut. This is a strange hack, but it's a little clever. So it's a nice hack because it keeps the shielding. Now I could obviously do the filter and all that stuff before we send it down this cable to the Leslie, but I trust this shielding place a little bit better.
Question is, do you know which one's shield, tip, and ring?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I can see them, right? So it's just a matter of testing them with the meter to make sure that we've got connections to the right places. So that's the next thing. So this cable is just random out of the scrap pile, and I don't even remember making it. So I'm gonna test to make sure that the tip ring and sleeves line up side to side, because it may have been a strange converter cable or something. Okay.
1/4 inch to 1/8 inch.
Yeah. And they all seem to line up as one would expect, so that's fine. So now what we can do is plug this guy in to our jack. And I can find where my shield terminals are. There's probably more than one. Okay, there's one. And that one's, so a couple of those are just structural. So my shield is there. And on the ring. Okay, that's the ring. And I'm guessing that would make the tip right there. Okay, so we want the ring here needs to go to that pin of the tube. The tip here needs to go to the signal line that's coming in on this green wire. And the ground needs to go to this ground connector that goes to the Amphenol ground, to this ground connection that connects to the chassis and everything else, and to this pin of the 1 to AU7. Okie dokie. So I'm going to need a jumper to go from here because that's not going to reach. I'm going to need a jumper that goes from here because that's not going to reach. And these two reach just fine. And the orientation that I'm turned can go counterclockwise, would improve our situation. Okay, so I'm getting ready to replace the wires here, and I want to take a second and thank Alex and John for sending over some amazingly, wonderfully nice wire strippers. This one is going to be handy for cutting to length, and this is going to be, green is going to go down to our wiper there. Yeah, it can continue to be green. And then we'll go black for ground. Make it easy to see. Yeah. So that makes that job easy. So hemostats. Okay. One. Okay, so there's that side of it, and that's to ring. So that's what we want for wiper. That's what we want for wiper there.
Okay.
This kind of thing is a little bit like cutting wood. Measure twice, cut once. So even though I was sure, I still double checked it. It's kind of a pain to redo. Alright, now we can check the connection through between ring on our output wire all the way down to here.
Looks good.
Seems to be electrically okay. Okay, so the next one we need is to get our signal line, which is here, attached to that pin up there, and we want that on tip. So grab the tip and grab here, and yes, that is the tip pin. So I got my fuse line here, is kind of in my way, so I'm going to rotate that. And this is the one that wants to be round. This is the one that wants to be tip. Okay. Alrighty.
Are you able to feed it through?
No, it's too big
Oh.
to go through that solder lug. But that's not going to matter a whole lot because solder.
Solder fumes.
Don't breathe. Alright. Now that I got solder all over everything, I can reorient this to be flat.
It's like vein anastomosis.
Now that's a nice solid connection. Okay, now we need to check our ground line shield on our plug here. It should be there, and it is indeed. So we got 3 lines that need to go there, and one of them is on the tube pin, so we need to cut a line to go between that pin of the tube up to that pin of the jack. Alright, which tool can I use to clip this? Probably
The nurse scissors, Doc. I have a feeling it's one wire all the way to that pin, though.
could be, which is why it's probably one wire period all the way through. And that's why we're going to cut it instead of trying to remove it. Okay, and that we haven't put any fresh solder on yet. So wake up that connection. Okay. Go here. Actually, that's loose, so we can. Well, it fell down straight. But that is not connected all the way. It's connected electrically, but it's not the same wire.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so there's that one. And that is one of the many that needs to go up here to the ground, or shield.
Well, you should be able to fit it in the lug, right?
Maybe this one's a tiny bit smaller.
Bam. Do you need my help? Did you just bend that?
It's okay.
You just bent it, Whisker.
On purpose. You've got a lot of soldering to do on it, so. Okay. There's that one, and then we need the green one, I believe. So this guy
I do
here,
declare.
that could deal with a little bit of stripping, which we'd never be able to do in place with our old wire stripping stuff. But now, thanks to the magic of
The deluxe
let's see
stripper
if we can get in
2000.
here. We may be able to. There's that one. Okay, there's those two. And then we've got the one that goes to the chassis. This brown one down here. Okay, there's that one. I'm gonna double check all of them with the meter. So we got the shield, needs to be going all the way out to here. And it is. The ring shield also needs to be going to this pin. It is. It continues through here. It's at this voltage dividing position, and here on the side of the smokestack resistor. And over to here, these should all still be good because we didn't touch them. They are. Okay, now the ring needs to be connected to this pin. Is it that one? Can't see up underneath there.
Ring was
That's
going to the short
pin.
one. The short connection between the emphenol and the...
Ah, yes, that's right. So down here to this tube. Good eye. That one's connected just fine. The signal's on tip, and that's here, and it's supposed to be to this pin. And that is connected fine. Excellent. So our potentiometer replaced with jack is complete on this end.
Excellent.
Okay, so now we got the jack in place. We should probably tighten it down, making sure we keep it centered. scratch that label at all. Okay, now it's all easily put back to stock, and it's like we were never there, and we don't have to run any wires in or out of this thing. We can just use a patch cable to jumper between our amplifier, and now we've got a remote volume control on this. We just hook this up to our potentiometer, and our shield will be going to the shielding plate on the front of our subassembly too. So we got a bonus there.
Excellent.
We post videos all the time, so don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Twitter at TYMKRS.